Welcome to a new episode of the 90s Metal Gamer, where we stay hydrated and play video games. The Devil May Cry series is a series that I will always have a lot of respect for, and for a lot of reasons. My introduction to the series was with Devil May Cry 4 on the Xbox 360, which I still have to this day, and it released January 31st, 2008, and I was around 20 or 21 at the time. I was just your typical broke college student that wanted to drink and party all the time, and I was probably surviving on ramen noodles. Just for full transparency, I may have bought the game back in 2008, but in actuality, I never finished it or I never beat the game until earlier this year. I think it was around February or March. To be quite honest, there are a lot of games I want to review and put on my channel, but I just don't have the time. So, it's gonna be a while before I get to all my games. Speaking of my channel, I want to give a little update on what's going on. As of editing this video, I am currently sitting at 959 subscribers, and I told myself I'm going to reach 1,000 before January 1st, and I will make that happen. So if you're finding my channel for the very first time, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. If not, then that's okay too. YouTube is arguably the hardest platform to grow a following on, and I started this channel back in August of 2021. And I would like to think that I'm coming along nicely with the channel. It has definitely grown a lot over the last several months, but we're not stopping there. To my folks that have stood by me since the days of my Let's Play cringe videos, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And for my new folks, welcome to the channel. In any case, this is a casual review of Devil May Cry. Now I have to disclose this. This version of Devil May Cry is a reboot of the entire series, but it is not canon. It has absolutely nothing to do with Devil May Cry 1 through 5. Considering that this is a reboot of the series, I'm not going to associate this game with its predecessors, other than the names of the weapons and the names of the characters, because, well, it's not canon. It's not linked to the OG series. Just like I say with every review video that I make, this is not a 100% completion review. This is just a casual review. The main purpose of a casual review is just to simply beat the main story of this game, and talk about other things, of course. Over the course of this review, I'm going to go over the story, the gameplay, the presentation, and the music, and then we'll wrap it all up with a water score. Cue the channel intro.
And then the Lord said,
I want to see your tiny head.
Before I get into this review video, I want to talk a little bit about the backstory of Devil May Cry Reboot and why it was rebooted, and talk about the developmental process as well. There was a Devil May Cry fandom page that had information about the Devil May Cry reboot, but it doesn't really give a whole lot of information on why the game was rebooted. So I continued my research. I found a Reddit page about the Devil May Cry reboot, and all my information that I have about the reboot came from this Reddit page. So if the information is wrong, I am sorry. I am using a Reddit page. According to this Reddit page, Capcom was very unhappy with how Devil May Cry 4 sold, which strikes me as a little odd because it sold better than Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3. They were expecting bigger numbers. So then they decided to reboot the franchise to make it more appealing to the Western audience. But then Capcom decided to make a Devil May Cry 5, which picks up after Devil May Cry 4, which makes the Devil May Cry reboot just completely pointless. At this point, the Devil May Cry reboot is just its own thing. I like to think of it as an alternate universe rendition of Dante and Virgil. As far as the developmental process goes, it really wasn't any different than its OG predecessors, with the exception of Dante not having his 4 fighting styles, which are Trickster, Swordmaster, Gunslinger, and Royal Guard. If you're an OG player of the series, then you know what these are. Developer Ninja Theory used the Unreal Engine 3, which ultimately stripped Dante of all his previous abilities, but on the flip side, it gave him a clean slate to work with. And that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. That about sums up the backstory for Devil May Cry Reboot. There's really not a whole lot to it, other than Capcom was just being selfish and they wanted more money. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the story of this game. You all should probably get it by now. I suck at storytelling, so I'm going to let the game tell the story for me, and then we'll discuss. Enjoy.
Yes, by close of trading Friday. No, you can't have more time. You know the terms, you know the consequences. No, this is not a veiled threat. This is a direct one. Should you fail to comply, the collapse of the economy will be on your head. I will make sure that you are stripped of power, shamed, and hated. Is that clear enough for you? Well, Friday it is then. You have a good night, Mr. President.
Did you get it, my darling?
Over $1 trillion.
Oh.
Soon I will own everything worth owning. I will control the world through debt. I have absolute power.
The world is at last your bitch. What's the matter? What's the matter?
A loose end.
A loose end, what?
The son of the traitor Sparta, Dante.
Him.
He's still out there.
The hunters will find him. They found Sparta and his whore. And when they do...
I will rip open his chest with my bare hands and feast on his beating heart.
The demons have been increasing their power for millennia. They're on the verge of controlling mankind. Citizens, we've been kept asleep in a manufactured illusion for too long. We must wake up.
The masked lunatic you saw there claims to represent an organization called the Order. Now, this group has claimed responsibility for several serious attacks in recent weeks. He is undoubtedly a traitor and a terrorist. And I, for one, am not for the death penalty. So, one way to do it. Illegally shoot the son of a bitch. This is Bob Barbas, just doing God's work.
Dante! Get out of there! You're in danger!
Who are you? What do you want?
You were careless. You left a trail. Now he's on to you.
What are you talking about? Who's on to me?
The hunter demon. He's here. He's dragging you into limbo.
Demon scum.
It's too late. You're gonna have to fight your way out.
Because of copyright reasons, I cannot play the rest of the audio from this segment of the video. It contains music from Combi Christ. And if you don't know who Combi Christ is, their music has copyright protection. The short version of this story is that you are Dante, a Nephilim, which is a half demon, half angel who secretly hunts demons. Except Dante doesn't know that he's half angel, half demon. He finds out about halfway through the game. The man that you see right here is in fact not a man, but rather a demon. His name is Mundus, and he is hell-bent on taking over the world by any means necessary. Whether it be by political means, financial means, or whatever really, he just wants total control of the world. And Dante is not going to let that happen. As you progress through the game, you will reunite with your long-lost twin brother, Virgil, and Kat, which is a medium that helps you in and out of limbo. Spoiler alert here, if you have not played this game and you do not want me to spoil it for you, feel free to click away. If not, then you can't say I did not warn you. I tried. After you defeat Mundus, Virgil then tries to convince Dante that the world is better off in his control, Virgil's control. And Dante does not want that to happen either. So then they fight.
Demons. Mankind would be free. Yes. Free from the demons. The path is clear for us to rule. What did you just say? The path is clear for us to rule. To rule what? This. Everything.
Virgil.
You mean like Mundus? No. No. We'll be nothing like Mundus. We'll respect our subjects, not enslave them.
Subjects?
He means you. He means humans.
I thought we were fighting for freedom.
It was his freedom we were fighting for, not yours. Don't be so simplistic. Humans are frail. They're like children. They need protection. Not just from others, but from themselves. We, you and I, have saved them. You and I saved them? Who else? A human. Kat was useful, but...
Useful?
Kat saved my life. Kat held out under torture to keep your existence a secret. Kat led us through the tower to Mundus' lair. We would have failed 20 times over if it weren't for her. Listen. If you can't see the chaos that humans will cause, if you don't want the responsibility of protecting them, then stand aside. I'll rule alone. I didn't help you destroy Mundus so that you could take his place. I can't let you do this, Virgil. And I can't let you stop me, brother. Stand aside. Don't do this.
Virgil, please.
Stay out of this!
Once again, I cannot play the rest of that audio clip from that segment of the video because of copyright reasons. It contains music from Combi Christ. I really don't need to explain any further about what's going to happen. Dante and Virgil do not see eye to eye, and this is what begins their sibling rivalry. Virgil wants control, Dante wants them to be free. And that about sums it up for the story of Devil May Cry Reboot. Let's go ahead and get into the gameplay. If you have played any of the God of War games before it transitioned to a semi-open world RPG, then you have played Devil May Cry, at least from a gameplay perspective. There were not a whole lot of puzzles, in fact they were kept to a minimum. I imagine the developers decided to go with this because they wanted to put more focus on the combat aspect of the gameplay. And if you ask me, I think it suits this game perfectly. There was a scoring system for the combat, and it was based on how stylish you were before you could get hit or before you got stale. And what I mean by stale is that you can't just spam attack with your sword and expect to get a good score. No, you'll have many weapons at your disposal, and you need to use them all if you want to get a good score. You'll encounter many different enemies, and each one has its own special way of taking it down, whether it be just by spam attacking or searching for a weak spot. And in some cases, you'll have to wait for an opening to attack with this demon that I'm fighting right here. You'll have many weapons to choose throughout this game. You start out with your Rebellion, which is your sword, Arbiter, which is your massive hammer, Osiris, which you see on screen right now, it's a scythe. Eric's is kind of like Hulk hands, that's the best way I can describe it. Aquila, which is your long-range throwing weapon, and Ebony and Ivory, which are your guns. There are two more weapons that are not depicted here in that screenshot. It is the Kablooey, which is a long-range detonating weapon, and your shotgun. The shotgun is, well, a shotgun. Certain areas and certain levels are blocked off until you get a certain weapon, which in this case I needed the scythe, or the Osiris, so I can cut through these vines. This may sound just a little bit confusing at first, but bear with me. Since Dante is a Nephilim, he has the ability to wield angel and demon weapons. Osiris and Aquila are both angel weapons, while Arbiter and Eric's are the demon weapons. I like to switch them up in the middle of combat, that way I get a better style score. Then again, I really wasn't going for 100% completion, I just wanted to look cool. I have beaten this game many times over, and this was long before I even began to think about starting a YouTube channel. So with that said, I must say that the controls were very easy to learn and easy to master. But keep in mind, I have beaten this game many times over, so there's that. All of the controller inputs were really smooth, and I did not notice any lag in my controls. I must also say that this is the PS4 version, and I played it on my PS5. Not that it makes a difference, just thought I'd throw that in there. For the presentation segment of this video, I'm going to use what I believe is the best looking part in this game. It is the rave scene. I'm not sure exactly what this is, but I'm going to call it the rave scene, and it is absolutely beautiful. The rave scene really does showcase what the Unreal Engine is capable of. The Xbox 360 and the PS3 version released in 2013, and the PS4 and Xbox One version released in 2015. So it is a little over 8 years old, and I have to say, even at 8 years old, this is still beautiful. It holds up even today's gameplay. At this point in the game, I'm really just gonna let the graphics speak for themselves. It is beautiful in every aspect. Brights where they need to be, darks where they need to be. And I must say that there was more dark than there was brights. And I think it was just to fit the overall theme of this game. Capcom, if you're watching this, you got it right. Keep doing this.
Mundus has been looking for you. He first laid eyes on you. Do you remember that night, Dante? I can't wait to see his face when I show up with your scrawny corpse.
Contrary to what the name of my channel is, I do enjoy me some EDM and techno music, and I have to say, the music in this game is spot on. At this point, I don't care if I get a copyright claim. Go ahead, I'm not making money off of this channel anyway. I love this music. Sorry, I just had to go with the EDM and techno sound again. I just love it. We're gonna go into the open world now.
Oh my.
Dante, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Attack its face!
The best possible way that I can sum up the overall feeling of this music would be industrial and techno with a dash of EDM. If you've listened to the band Combi Christ, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I highly suggest you Google them, that way you can understand what I'm talking about. It is a beautiful mixed bag. Overall, the music is great. I love it. According to Metacritic, this game did fairly well, with a Metascore of 83 and a user score of 7.5. Although there were just a few people that say this was just a bad game, and there was absolutely no reason to have this game in the first place. One user gave it a score of 1 and put, "This is just bad." Well, I wish you could provide a little bit more detail on why you think it's bad. That way I can get an idea of where you're coming from. And there's another user that says you need to check this game out, saying it has good music and a very good story. So as you can see, this game has a lot of mixed reviews, but it all depends on who you're talking to about it and where they are coming from and how they feel about the Devil May Cry series altogether. But as for my opinion about this game, I have to say that I thoroughly enjoyed it from start to finish. It did not feel like I had any slowdown at all. Very fast paced. The icing on the cake over this game would be the music from Combi Christ. I'm probably going to get a copyright claim on this, but that's okay. As long as I can justify it, I can keep it. Or if Combi Christ lets me use it, I'll be fine. On top of that, I don't make any money from this channel, so it really doesn't affect me at all. As long as Combi Christ lets me use their music, I'm fine. All things considered, I will give this game a water score of 5 out of 5 bottles of water. I recommend this game to anyone who enjoys a good hack and slash game, or you just need to get some frustration out. This game is for you. Thank you for watching my video all the way to the end. I truly do appreciate it, and I truly do mean that. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. I love y'all, stay hydrated, and stay tuned for my next video.